I think we're live streaming. We'll have those folks that kindly check us out to make sure and see if we are. But it's so good to have everybody with us tonight. Those of you that are listening by Power Faith Radio, Terry, you'll be glad to know we got an email just a few minutes ago of the Georgia group waiting. They got 31 people in there tonight. And so we're all we're saying hello to the Georgia people. They can't see us wave. They're listening. No, wait a minute. They are watching on YouTube. Okay. They're just kindly texting through the app of the radio station, but they are listening on YouTube. I think that's what they said. So anyway, so it's good to have them with us tonight. Also, everybody that's listening by Power Faith Radio, we're so glad to have you tuning in tonight. We, if you want to come on over into a where you can see us live, you can look for us on Outreach Noah YouTube channel. And while I'm on the YouTube channel, those of you that are viewing the YouTube, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell that you'll be notified every time a new video comes up. Or those of you that are listening on Power Faith Radio, you can go over to one of two Facebook pages. The first one is a private group. You'll have to ask to join there. It's called B'nai Noach Fellowship. And we appreciate everybody listening via that venue tonight. And please like and share within that group. And then also on a Simple Walk Facebook page, that is a public group. You can come on over there and join and share those videos and give us a thumbs up. And you can ask questions and kindly talk back and forth to us. We have Ronald and Amuela kind of watching those chats there so they can bring them on over into the Zoom room. Or if you wish to come into the Zoom room, you can just go over to one of those two Facebook pages. There you will see the link. Click it and we'll let you come on into the Zoom room. And I would like to say we do not debate. This is not an argument based platform. We just love people to come in to gain information and knowledge from the Torah. Okay, did I get it all out, Terry? Did I talk about everything I needed to talk about?
Except for those Smoky Mountains.
Broadcasting from the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains of East Tennessee, you're listening to Power Faith Radio. I don't know if I done it.
There we go. That's we're not complete until we get the Smoky Mountains in
okay,
there.
yeah.
we East Tennesseans, we love our little bitty mountains. They're not like the Rockies, but they have that spirit that still grabs a hold of you and says, hey, I got to go to the mountains.
Our temperature has changed here a little bit.
Yep.
Over the past couple of days. And
same here.
Yesterday morning, I had to drive out. We've got some apartments that I take care of as well out next to the mountains. And as I got out there, it was just on the little chilly side. The fog was still there. It felt very good for a fat man. So anyway, we went out. I went out there and I walked on top of this little knoll right there. Everybody knows what a knoll is, right? A little hill, and was able to look at all the mountains. And I watched the clouds, the fog falling over the mountains like a waterfall. So beautiful. So beautiful.
Man. And you didn't get any video footage to share with us?
No, I didn't have my phone on me, and I walked about, again, I'm a fat man, so I walked too far to turn around and come back. So,
I understand that.
So, Terry, you better take it away or I'm going to get myself in trouble.
All righty. Greetings, everyone. Looks like we're, again, well represented. We've got our Australian group here with us, and I guess Wendy may be on the YouTube channel. She's from Australia as well. But just want to greet everyone and just thank you all for coming in tonight. We're going to continue in this series on 7 Laws for a Beautiful Planet. Tonight, we're going to go into number 2. I'm going to try to get into number 3. Get those 2 covered tonight. We'll see how that goes and everything. Like Scotty said, until you've been in East Tennessee, especially Southeast Tennessee, where I'm at in July and August, you look forward to the fall months.
Yeah.
And those temperatures dropping. But, I was telling, a guy at work the other day, I said, we're kind of a strange creature. I said, here we're burning up and we're sweltering. It gets 100 and something degrees in my room I work in. And, you go outside, you can't breathe because humidity's 90% and it's, 97 degrees. And I said, we can't wait to fall so we can build a fire and put a coat on. It's just kind of strange creatures, aren't we? So anyhow, I guess all y'all here in the South, y'all understand where I'm going with that. So we're all looking forward to be able to build a fire and put on a coat. And I'm looking forward to all things pumpkin for a while.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, greetings everyone. Have your notepads and pens and paper ready for notes, and please send us those questions and comments so that we can respond back to them. Scott, are you about ready for Tzedakah time?
I'm ready for Tzedakah time.
All righty.
But just before I get started, I'd like to thank everybody for coming in the Zoom room. Chrissy Seaton and my lovely wife, Annie, and Wendell, and Amuela, and Thomas, and Ronald, and of course our teacher for the night is Terry. I got a story I got to tell before I get into Tzedakah time.
Go ahead.
If that's okay, Terry.
Are you going to have us crying like you did last week?
No, this is more of a, I've told several people this story this week. Thomas was involved in this story. And so, it's overwhelming if you just pay attention to what's going on around you, how Hashem will use you. So every Saturday night, my family and I, and Thomas is part of my family now. He's my little brother. You're not my little brother. You're my younger brother. Now, when people see us together, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that. I love you, Thomas.
I'm the crazy one.
He's the crazy one. So we left Saturday night from a restaurant that we were eating, and we were going to be running by the grocery store. And so Thomas and I went down this new area under construction right over from my house. And out in the middle of the road is a suitcase. And so we stop, pick it up, and we pull over to this nearby little hotel that's there. We pull over and we open it up. Thomas opens it up and starts looking through it, see if we could find who it belongs to, how to get it back to him, blah, blah, blah. And so Thomas finds a folder in there and with this young man's information. The only thing, it was all wrote in Hispanic, and I don't even speak good English, let alone speak Hispanic. And so it's got what all did it have in it, Thomas? It had his copy of his driver's license, his work visa, passport. You're muted. You're muted, Thomas. Unmute. Tell what.
It was paperwork for a visa, work visa, and everything like that. That's paperwork he needed.
Yeah. So we're debating on, okay, do we call the police, have them come get it? How are we going to locate it? We can't even read his name. So I'm thinking for a little bit, and I think there's a lot of Hispanic guys working on this big building over here. It's going up. Let's just drive over there and see if we can find anybody. Now, we're talking about a Saturday afternoon, probably, what was it, Thomas, 7:30, 8 o'clock? I mean, it was.
Yeah.
So we drive over there, and there's one truck sitting over there. And I pull up to this truck, and I get out, and I knock on the window, and the boy rolls the window down, and it's got 5 or 6 Hispanic gentlemen in there. And I say, anybody speak English? Anybody? Nobody speaks English. And so I'm looking for this app on my phone so I can speak to them, and speaking to my phone and speak. Well, about this time, another truck pulls up with 5 or 6 Hispanic gentlemen in it. And the driver of the first truck says English. He speaks a little bit English. So he turns around, comes back up. And so I got this paperwork out that's got this young man's ID. I turn to the page where the ID is, the copy of the ID. And I tell the guy, we found this suitcase, over here on the highway, and we're just trying to see if anybody knows who this is. Because I'm not going to give it to anybody, because this is this guy's life in this suitcase. And so the guy takes the paper and looks at the paper, and turns around behind him and says something, and the guy's sitting in the back seat of that truck. He didn't even know he lost his suitcase. And he gets out, and he shows me his ID, and it's him. He didn't even know he lost his suitcase. And, of course, they tried to give us some money. We said, no money. And so they were just happy to get it back. Well, unknowing to us, when I got Thomas home that night with his groceries, where we had went through his bag, we unloaded a bag of his clothes and didn't put them back in the suitcase. So he's got his paperwork, but he ain't got no clothes. So anyway, I've been driving over there every day this week, and today I drove into a restricted area where they were working, and this guy came running over and said, "You're not supposed to be in here." And I told him the story. He said, "Oh, you're the ones. You're the ones that." And so he hollered up on the top of this building. This guy said, "Hey!" And he came down and got his clothes. So all is well. He got his suitcase back and he got his clothes. He's not naked. Go. So we're doing good. So and it's just, some people would say, "Oh, that's just coincidence." Is it? I believe the Creator can use every one of us in a very special way to impact everybody around us in a very special way. One of those ways is by tzedakah. Did you like the way I led into that, Terry? I mean, that's
when we do get to the deeper into the laws, not just in this study, but there are what's called the laws of return that falls under the prohibition of theft. And that would be probably a really good opportunity to look into those, because how many times do we find something? Not every time we can return it, but what should we do when we can't return it? Things like that. And so it makes for a better society when everyone's trying to take care of everyone, because we all lose something important sometime. And hopefully somebody like, you would come along and find it and return it.
Some of the questions I'm going to get to when we come to that part is, should I go out of my way to return it?
Yeah. So we can, I'll get things ready when we won't go through them in this section when we get to theft, because it's like the fourth one back, but because this is just a general introduction into things, but we're going to get into these individually and go beyond just the surface a little bit and how it impacts our lives. Go ahead, Scotty.
Okay. Well, we're going to do our birthdays first. We appreciate everybody that sent tzedakah in, and we also appreciate Veronica Port had on Simply Noahide a charity whatever donation thing. What, Terry?
It was kind of fundraiser opportunity to help someone out who was in need.
Yeah, and we know them; they're very well in need, and so they achieved what they needed. They achieved their goals. So we thank Baruch Hashem. We thank the Creator for that. So okay, we're going to start on our birthdays. Cole Younger had a birthday this week, so Cole, we're giving tzedakah for you.
Also, he's been dealing with COVID too.
He has. I've got him on our list for
okay. Got you.
So, but yes, he has been dealing with that too. Zakia, and I don't know if I'm going to pronounce Zakia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your last name right. El-Uricon. I did the best I could. And when I saw you a couple times, how good I talk English. So Zakia had a birthday this week. Also Charles, and everybody's going to know this Charles I'm talking about. It's Shar and Charles. I cannot pronounce the last name. I wrote it down. I've tried it 2 or 3 times.
I don't even try.
I'm just going to say happy birthday to Charles, who had a birthday this week. Also, Ellen Adler had a birthday this week, and we're giving tzedakah for them. And also Devorah Shalev had a birthday this week, giving tzedakah for Devorah. Now we're going to move into our healings and strength and all that. We're giving tzedakah for our teacher, Pesach Sherbo, tonight. Also giving tzedakah for Ernie and Ella Kessler. Ernie had a knee replacement, and we're giving tzedakah for that. Also, Sharon Garland just had some stents put in, so we're giving tzedakah for Sharon Garland tonight. Also, got Cole Younger on our list there for complete recovery, dealing with, as Terry said, that thing going around. So we're giving tzedakah for that. Also, Craig Lotus, we're giving tzedakah for him and their family, giving tzedakah there. Also, Bria Warnstaff, we're giving tzedakah for Bria still. And also, Wayne Vivers. Wayne, we hadn't been able to contact him for a while, but he did contact me last week and said he's okay, but we're still going to give a little bit of tzedakah through the next couple of times for Wayne Vivers. Also, Mary Parsons, Wendell's wife. Wendell, can you jump in here and kind of tell us how Mary is doing?
She actually will begin her radiation treatments tomorrow.
Okay.
She was through the final consultation today.
Okay, so we're going to continue to give tzedakah for her, and believing Mary's going to have a full recovery. Also, Ronald Dickman, he's not glowing in the dark anymore. We're so tickled about that. So, Ronald, how you doing? Give us a report on how you're doing.
Yeah, just the lethargy issues and that. We're going to. I'm waiting for the hospital to ring me. I got a referral from the doctor the other day. But one last thing we can do is do a lung performance test. I suppose that's the easiest way of putting it. I've done one years and years ago. They get you to blow into a tube and also and just see how good your lung function is.
Oh.
Because I'm getting pains just above the sternum sometimes when I walk 5 minutes and not uphill. I get really exhausted and I get a real pain in the below the collarbone and between the collarbone and the sternum. So we're doing this one last thing, but it doesn't look like there's a lot that can be done or what it can be, but that's it. Yeah.
Well, if it's any consolation, you ought to be in pictures because you look the picture of health.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I sort of feel it if I'm not exhausted.
So, all right. Well, we're giving tzedakah for Ronald. Also, Amuela. Amuela, somebody always sends in tzedakah for you, honey, and this is your dollar going into the tzedakah. Also, Thomas, the same person sends tzedakah in for you as well, and this same person always adds Veronica Port to the list. So we're giving tzedakah for Veronica tonight. And also Ronnie Sheets. We're still keeping him on our tzedakah list for a while. Terry, how's Ronnie doing? Ronnie Suits. Ronnie Suits.
Yeah. He's doing pretty good. He had some rough coughing spells this week. Yesterday we were just sitting and talking a little bit, and one of his coughing spells hit him. I thought he was choking at first, and he wasn't. He just couldn't catch his breath. And like I said, he's a survivor of the COVID pneumonia, and it's completely destroyed the top part of both of his lungs. They're hard as a rock and everything. So when he gets the coughing, it won't stop.
Yeah.
And so, and then what little breath he has, that takes it from the coughing. He can't like get his breath.
Right.
And stuff. But other than that, I mean, he does really good. He just had those coming spells.
Well, we're going to continue giving tzedakah for him for the next little while. And also Bobby Daly. Bobby Daly is a gentleman that is a waiter at one of the restaurants that we frequent here. And he talked to me this week. His brother passed away, had a real terrible past few months, and so we're giving tzedakah for Bobby and his family, and also in blessed memory of Charles Daly. That's going to be our blessed memory tzedakah tonight. Charles Daly. I always love to say, you don't really know how much it helps, how much it changes, what it can do, but tzedakah can change you. It can change your family, change your community, and together, we can all change the world. All right, Terry, are you ready with the class tonight?
I guess. Is there anything from the last week or two, any kind of questions or anything we need to kind of look into a little bit before we move on to the next?
No, I kindly looked over the questionnaires that was coming in, and I think you kindly covered those. And basically, everybody's looking forward to see what you're adding on to it tonight.
Yeah, tonight we'll be going into number 2, and I'm going to try to get to number 3. We're going to wait and see how things go. I had some things I was going to share along with number 2, but I I may wait until we get into those sessions where we go a little bit deeper, because it goes a little bit deeper, and this is not what this particular series is about. It's more of a, philosophy type, introduction, the thought behind things in a general thought process, I guess you might say, because I read some things this week. It's actually in my own studies that kind of grabbed me a little bit. So made me have to, stop in my tracks for a little bit and sit and have a little bit of time and talk with the Creator about some things. And that's a good thing. We all need those moments where, we're going along with life, and things are going on with family and jobs and just general stuff that happens. And every now and then the Creator says, stop what you're doing for a few minutes. It's been a while since you come over here and talked about a few things. So we all need that. So anyhow, if nothing from next week, we'll just continue on. Is that okay? All righty. Tonight we're going to go into number 2. Do not deny that oneness. Last week we discussed the number 1, embrace the relevance of the oneness, talking about the oneness of the Creator, that there's only one Creator. He says there is no other. And in Isaiah 45, it's him and him alone. And there's a deep study that goes into that one passage on where he says, Ani Hashem va'ain od, and there is no other. The Torah teachers from way back has done some massive and awesome teachings on there is no other, and what it means in a deeper sense, which we won't get into that. But to embrace the oneness tonight, we do not deny the oneness. The second principle of Noah is not to profane that oneness in any way, or in a short abbreviated way, it's prohibition of blasphemy, which can entitle more than just cursing the Creator and profaning his, there's more than one way to profane the name of the Creator other than just getting mad and cussing at him or using it in a vain way. Because we've all gotten mad. We've all, somewhere, sometime down the line, we've had probably a few choice words with God, and generally with this ending like, why, when something happens. And so, but we got to be careful. We have to be careful with this. And that's why it's one of our laws. It's the second in sanctity. The first one is the sanctity of the oneness of God. There's only one single Creator, the issue of idolatry. The next level of sanctity is the reverence. I'm trying to make sure I said the right word. I almost said a different word, but reverence of his name and his being. And tonight we're continuing on with 7 Laws for a Beautiful Planet by Tzvi Freeman of Chabad.org. In a simple sense, when it says the second principle is not to profane that oneness in any way, in a simple sense, that means do not damn or curse the one who conducts this universe, or deny that there is one who conducts the universe. By even denying his existence is a blasphemy. Not only it tails in with idolatry, it is a blasphemy to actually say there's not a Creator of the universe. I mean, because that even denies the work that he does as far as creating mankind and everything. This too is essential as a part of creating a sustainable world for humankind on our planet. If the magnificent plethora of life that surrounds us is nothing more than an accident, why should we bother to make the sacrifices necessary to preserve it? If everything's an accident, why do we go out of our way to preserve the planet, to preserve human life friendships, family. What's it matter? It's going to end anyhow. So what's it matter? Recognizing that this world has a master who has made us its stewards is a vital step in taking responsibility for our environment in the long term. So I found it interesting that Mr. Freeman ties in responsibility for the environment, even with blasphemy, which we have a law that's ever mean high, which we will get to that a little bit later, that deals with the environment. But it's interesting. He brings in the responsibility of taking care of our environment, tying it into blasphemy that, or let's say it's even better, profaning. If we are mishandling the creation, then that too in itself steps into the realm of profaning not only the name of God, but his very being, because it's his creation. A couple of things interesting this week that I have read from Rabbi Hirsch in the study this book of his that I'm reading that I've talked about a couple of weeks ago, that kind of ties into this little spot right here. Rabbi Hirsch says, from God alone, source of all might, does man derive the right to take his own use of the earth. But this right comes also with a duty, only to appropriate the permitted and to use that in strict accordance with the will of the giver. From God alone, the source of all, does man derive the right to use the earth. But that right also comes with a duty. I thought that was very, very, very important. He goes on, he says, and we're going to see this here a little bit as we carry on here. Through the power of his intellect, through the power of man's intellect, he is threatened with pride, that because of his ability to control material things and to alter them in accordance with certain perceived purpose, he may look upon himself as a master. How many people look at the earth and feel like they're a master of anything that they've done? Forgetting thereby the Creator, our master. Forgetting also, see, they forget that God is the creator and that God is the master of all, that the earth is his and all the fullness thereof. Even us, we're in the earth, we're his. And man, forgetting also that all things are divine possessions, that everything is a divine possession, lent. They're on loan to man for a specific purpose. Go ahead, Scotty.
Okay. When I was a little boy, now my grandmother, we had a country house. It had linoleum all the way through. I hope everybody knows what linoleum is. We had linoleum all the way through, and it was the tar paper linoleum. It's already hard to keep clean. But I remember one day I came in from playing and it'd been raining and I had muddy shoes. And my grandmother had just got through cleaning the house. And I guess I was taking it for granted, but I walked through the house with muddy shoes. I'm not talking about just a little bit of mud. I'm talking about I left my footprint and then some. And I saw my grandmother crying, and it really touched me. I said, Mima, are you okay? She said, I just got through cleaning that floor. And so I disrespected, I took for granted, I used it wrong. So is that something about what you're talking about?
Yeah, you had a, you like it says here that turn back one page here. From God alone is the source of all. Does man derive the right to take for his own use the earth? But with this right comes also the duty of only appropriating that which is permitted, but and for the giver. So yeah, you can tie that exactly into this, because you were given the right to come into her house, but you disrespected her house, even not knowing you did, but you did.
I took it for granted.
Took it for granted.
And that's
And so by permission to come in, you have a right to come in, but you have a duty to handle it properly.
Yes, that was the words I was just fixing to say. Thank you, Terry. Yeah.
And so that's the same thing with us. God we were created last, human beings. There's a cool saying in the Talmud. There's a question actually that one of the ancient rabbis asked. It says, why was man created last? Pretty interesting question, isn't it? The answer was given so that when he gets full of himself, he'll remember that the gnat was created before him. So yeah, we're giving this earth to use it, but to be able to do so, there becomes a duty that comes along with it, and that duty has been forgotten. Because look at what we're doing, and that's the sad thing, and that's part of profaning the name and the being and the character of God. And what did you do with your grandmother?
So Terry, not dirtying it up, not tracking in is one thing. But do I have a responsibility to help clean?
Yeah, we are partners in creation.
Just want to throw
I think
that
I
in
went
there.
over that. Did I go over that? I think I went over that.
I think you might have.
Oh, I talked. Brooks Lee and I was having a conversation.
Okay.
We were talking. That's why it's fresh on my mind. We have an obligation. We're partners. We're partners in the creation. And we were talking about that. And I will get into that more as we get into some of our other studies.
Okay.
It is also an essential part of building a sustainable society that the bedrock of the morality of healthy societies is the human intuition that there is a meaning and a purpose to life, that this purpose serves as an absolute measure of good and evil, and that the choice is up to us whether or not to work towards fulfilling that purpose. Purpose requires a higher context, just as an automobile can have no purpose without a road or a destiny. I'm thinking about that. That's a pretty good analogy. What use is a car if you don't have a road or somewhere to go? Or a hammer can have no purpose without a nail to build a structure. So our world and our life within it cannot have purpose without a higher consciousness that chooses a destiny for the world and gives it meaning. But without a context greater than itself, life can have no purpose. And when purpose is robbed from human beings, the very fabric of morality swiftly crumbles. If there is no meaning, then all courses of life are equally purposeless. It's going too fast here. Here in Tennessee, we got to slow down a little bit. That's why us Southerners, we talk real slow. If there is no purpose, then all effort to define our values is a joke. If there is no absolute good or evil, then morality is left to each person to decide according to his or her whims and benefits. If we have no free will to choose between good and evil, then all is justified because no justification is necessary. There is no me who did anything wrong. There is only a relentless, blameless, mindless chain of cause and effect that anything can happen. And it does. The 20th century provides us with the laboratory demonstration that human beings abandoned a higher authority to serve the icons of their own making than the most atrocious acts of humanity. Let me read that again. The 20th century provides us with a laboratory demonstration when human beings abandon a higher authority to serve the icons of their own making. Their own idolatry. Scotty, help me here.
Is it ideology?
Ideologies. There we go. They're serving their own icons of their own making, then the most atrocious acts of inhumanity, mass slavery, hatred, genocide is ever known to humankind, spreads across the planet. Nazi Germany, Stalinist Russia, Maoist China, Pol Pot's Cambodia are prime, but not prime examples, but not alone specimens of this truth. These were not the acts of barbarians, but cold and calculated acts perpetrated in the name of a godless human ideology. This is what happens when you kick God out and you set up your own morality, your own way of doing things. And if for some reason, when you kick God out and you set up your own way, it never goes good. How many times in history do we have those utopian times that everybody dreams about and reads stories about in a godless society? You can't. When man sets out to be the master, it always turns out on the wrong side. This is crucial importance of the second law of Noah. It tells us that to actively and explicitly deny the existence of a single deliberate and purposeful conductor of the universe is very serious, irresponsible, and a reckless crime against humanity because it undermines the very foundation of responsible human conduct, the knowledge that there is a single reality beyond our own that gives us purpose and to whom we are held responsible. You got anything there, Scotty? On blasphemy, any questions or anything on profaning?
Takes me a couple more buttons. Let me get it off. No, there was a question, but you answered it, so we're good.
Okay. Yeah, because as we go through these laws, we'll find out that they not only get that they're the will of God, they're also, when we are operating within the will of the Creator, they become our purpose. And when they become our purpose, we fix society with that.
There's a question on I think it's, he might have just texted it to me straight, but I'll give it to you here at the end. Brooks Lee, I would like to say too that he is streaming this on South Carolina Noahide.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Welcome to the group. Okay, number 3. Well, let me just say a few more things about profaning. One of the things I love about the way Rabbi Herky in his book, I think he said, I know he said it in a teaching. I'm pretty sure it's in his book, Brit Shalom, which is just an easy way of studying these things out in a practical way. Is that, see, we don't have, this is going to be new to some people, but you have to, I'll have to probably explain it here a little bit. Within the 7 laws that we are given as they're, like I said, they are categorical, because they're underneath them. There's a lot more involved than just the headline. We do not have, as those of the nations, understand the 10 Commandments was given to Israel, spoken to Israel at Mount Sinai. And I know a lot of religious people have taken hold of the 10 Commandments and want to establish this and that. But the foundation of the 10 Commandments is what we're studying now. Actually, there's parts of the 10 Commandments that can't even be in operation. Actually, all of them can't be in operation without the 7, because there's one of the 7 that's not in the 10. But one of the 10, a lot of people have discussion is, see, we are not given as a commandment. We are not given as a commandment to honor our mother and father. Israel was, but we in the nations are not. So where does this tie in? And Rabbi Herky, in listening to him, one of his teachings, he ties it to the prohibition of blasphemy. It's one of the sub-laws, one of the sub-obligations. It's not actually a law, it's an obligation. And how is it an obligation? It takes 3 to make each one of us. It takes your mother and your father and the Creator. All 3 are involved in making you. And so when you don't honor your parents, then you blaspheme the Creator. So think about that. It's not loving your parents. The obligation is not to love, but to honor, to give honor. And there's a lot of different things in different societies that's gone before us that has showed honor. Like there's practical ways that Rabbi Herky is saying, let's say you grow up at home and your father, he has a favorite chair. You don't sit in it. That's his. If your mom and your dad or either one of them is asleep, unless it's an emergency, you don't go and wake them up. You let them get their rest. That's honor. And taking care of them. And especially in the old age, you start taking care of them, is honoring them, because they carried you in, and now it's your, and took care of you and helped you when you were in need. Now it's your time to help them. And all of that falls underneath profaning God. If you dishonor your parents, you profane the Creator, because he's part of your creation, making you who you are. So I've always found that very interesting in how he connects dishonoring parents for the non-Jewish people actually falls underneath the prohibition of blasphemy. They don't curse or profane God, his name, or his being. And so we'll go on to number 3 if it's everything okay, Scotty. Thumbs up. All righty. We'll go on to number 3 here. Number 3, guard the sanctity of human life. So the third level of sanctity is the principle of the value of human life. The third principle of Noah is that the value of human life cannot be measured. The value of human life cannot be measured. Now, everyone's, like, again, speaking of the 10 Commandments, they've heard of the commandment, you shall not kill. Well, that's wrong. It's actually, the Hebrew word is murder. Killing is a different situation. We are never permitted to murder. None. We are permitted to kill. It's like self-defense. Somebody attacks your nation. You're permitted to defend your nation, your home, your family, your house, things like that. But the prohibition is murder. Okay, in Genesis chapter 9, verse 6, way before the 10 Commandments, we have a commandment that is that you are not to shed the blood of man. And if you shed the blood of man, man's blood, shall be shed. And that even leads into the court systems. It actually comes from that passage as well. But there's a reason why. There's a reason why that the Creator says, you shall not shed the blood of another man. And a lot of people can come up with a lot of reasons, but the Creator gives us the very reason. Noah was not simply told, do not murder. He was given a reason not to. And the reason why in Genesis chapter 9, verse 6, because the human being is made in the divine image. God says we are not to murder one another because every human being is made in the divine image. Scotty, looks like you got something. Go ahead.
So in the aspect of murder, most people think causing someone to stop breathing, taking the life. But isn't it much more than that? Is there like embarrassment? Does that fall in it? If you
see, when we get to where we're studying these more in depth, where we're going to probably take a couple of weeks and just like be on just one. Actually, you can do more than just a couple of weeks. I'll just hit some highlights when we do it, because technically you should be studying these things the rest of your life, meditating and pondering and learning. But yes, there's a lot more to murder than actually the shedding of blood. There's a lot. That's, like I said, that's the headline.
Yeah.
But there's a whole story underneath it.
Now,
that's with each one of them.
Should we be thinking about the positive in each commandment as well?
Oh yeah.
And the positive would be
of giving, not to take life, but also to give life.
And I'm sure we'll cover that more in depth as well.
Actually, when you get into theft and murder, you can get into areas of tzedakah.
Right.
Because it's the opposite. It's the opposite. When you're giving is the opposite of taking. And murder is a theft.
I hear a lot of people saying, well, I don't do this, I don't do that. But what part of it do you do?
Granted, we all, the majority of us, we don't go out and kill someone. Okay. But like it says here, we do not shed blood because of the human being is made in the divine image. So now let's look at how do we treat one another?
There you go.
How do you treat one another? If that person is in the divine image, created in the image of the divine, and you disrespect them,
mm-hmm.
you use harsh words toward them, you're doing the same. You're doing that to the divine image in that person. So it takes a while. You're not going to get this one time. You're not going to get it from this class. You're not going to get it from 100 classes.
Right.
You're going to get it from being at work, being in the grocery store. You can be on the highway. You're going to get it everywhere in life. And it's so hard sometimes. Because I'm dealing with a situation that, when your wife is going through something and someone's causing a problem and you're ready to tell God, turn his head, I'm going to turn my hat around backwards and I'm going to break out some redneck, take care of a situation with a wooden stick that they hit balls with. You get those thoughts. It's there, if there's, the boyfriend's messing with your daughter, you're ready to take some things out, but we got to remember that's one of the things I've been having to deal with a lot in prayer here lately is some of the stuff that's been going on in our country, in the United States, has made me literally, I just almost on the level of full blown hate towards certain people. And I have to remember, no matter how evil that person might be, they're still in the divine, they still carry the divine image. They don't stop carrying the divine image until they're in the grave. And that's another reason why when you murder someone, you destroy the divine image that was in that person. Mm-hmm. It's gone. And so there's so much to murder and theft. Even, when we get to theft, when you look at this, you shall not shed blood because of the divine image that is in that person, then that affects everything else in life in your relationships. And just guess what? Not only with your neighbors and your co-workers, your spouse, your children, that includes yourself. That includes yourself. How many people have self-hate? They have issues with their self. And we've got to remember, even ourselves, that we carry the divine image within us, and how we treat ourselves, we are treating the divine image. See, so this gets deep, guys. It's not a set of rules of do's and don'ts. This is practical everyday living. Anything else, Scotty? Just as it is vital to know that there is only one force behind the universe, so it is vital to know that this force breathes within each human. And every human being, this force breathes. We are not just a functional machine made of meat and standing on two legs. Each of us contains the entire universe. Each one contains the very soul of the universe. This is what the book of Genesis calls the divine image. To destroy a single human life is to destroy the entire universe, because for that person, for that one person, this reality has ceased to exist. And so it follows that by sustaining a single life, you are sustaining an entire universe. No idea in human history has caused as much upheaval and progress as this basic tenet. Abraham and Moses were its greatest proponents, but it was not until its finally resurfaced in Europe 500 years ago that the world was transformed beyond recognition. It is the basis of the American Bill of Rights and the Constitution of every progressive nation today, the issue of murder. So you got to think that every single person contains an entire universe. God breathed into man. From God's very being came in, and it's where we get our life from. The breath that spoke, "Let there be light," is contained in each one of us. And when we damage another person, whether it's through killing or our actions or anything else, even if they are wicked, we damage that breath that came from the eternal. Go ahead, Scotty.
Hold on, I'm trying to get off speaker view.
No, that's fine.
Brooks Lee put a question. He sent it.
Yeah, go ahead and cover his question, because this is the 2 and 3, and I'm not going to get into 4 tonight because it's in 5, because 4 and 5, we'll try to do 4 and 5 next week.
I put it over in the chat, in the Zoom room chat. Can you look over there and
hold on here? Let me slide this out of the way so I don't knock it around. Hey, here.
It's right above Amy Weller where she posted the text.
Let's see.
I copied and pasted.
Is this right here? So this ties. Is this where
yes,
you're talking?
Yes.
So this ties into why the flood came. Man wasn't doing his part in perfecting creation by not following the 7 laws before the flood. Is this a deeper meaning of the teaching? The world depends on the Torah and good deeds. Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, again, the flood, the whole issue, the two things was corrupt and Hamas, the injustice, the moral corruptness and the injustice from one another. Matter of fact, as we were talking about earlier, that that generation of the flood had corrupted its way. And all of this was set in advance, even before the flood. 6 of these was given to Adam, which included the one we talked about tonight. The 7th was the permission to eat meat, which we'll get into later. But they violated these 6 commandments to a point that man was about to self-annihilate. Matter of fact, the Torah sages say, when you read the Hebrew and when you look into it, when the Creator told Noah that the end of all flesh has come before me, that the way it can be read in the Hebrew is that the end of all flesh has come. It's coming on its own. The Creator did not destroy man. Man was destroying itself. So the Creator brought the flood and saved a family so the human race could exist. If he did not bring the flood and save Noah and his family, the human race would have vanished. That's why it says the end of all flesh has come before me. And so some of the Torah sages says that man was on a path of self-annihilation, that it was just at the last moment. When the Creator looked upon everyone that was there was the righteous one was Noah to become the second Adam and save the earth and propagate the earth through his family. And so, yeah, and part of that was the way, not only were they destroying the image of God in man, they were destroying the creation, because all flesh, even within the animals, had become corrupted because of what man was doing. I hope that answers your question, Brooks.
Yeah, I think it did. I think it did.
We got any other questions or comments or anything you want to discuss on this, Scotty?
I think that's about it. Let's see, Amy Weller posted something over there. And were repeated in the days before the flood. Yeah, I think it's a great. I can't wait till we get into where we break all of them down. Individual, the depth of them, and even like you said, even then we won't get into
everything. We're going to hit the highlights, which is pertinent for each of our lives, and there's going to be some things we're going to be covering that's going to be hard for some, but because it's going to be easy to take out of context, misunderstanding, because like I said, if you go on YouTube, you're going to find the videos of those who are talking, negative about those of us teaching Noahide laws. Well, those people, I'm just going to tell you, they're ignorant because they're not studied. I'm sorry, a person who does not study and educate themselves is ignorant. And they're trying to save a religion, but they're blaspheming the Creator, because these come from God. This is, matter of fact, there's some statements I read this week that's, like I said, to stop me in my tracks. We're going to get to. These come from the Creator, and it's our obligation to learn what they are and what they mean and how to apply them. It's not a religion. It's definitely how the Creator wanted us to live by.
Yeah.
It's just how He wants us to act. And as we can see here, how many times, I'm going to be honest, how many times you sat in your worship center and had someone get up and talk about murder or theft or mistreating someone and say that you were mistreating the divine image?
Right.
I mean, when I started learning this, it was like, whoa, that's deep. That's why, like I said in the past, those that's been in our classes, part of murder is you, when we get into the depth, you don't raise your hand against your fellow man. And it's just those things, you've got to stop and think. sometimes we don't stop and think. All of us have that. We're none of us are.
Right.
Matter of fact, the Creator's not looking for us to be perfect. He's looking for us to be righteous, but he ain't looking for, that does, too many people confuse righteousness and perfectness. They're not the same thing, because
Right.
a righteous person will mess up. I mean, they will mess up. They will sin. They will fall. That a righteous person will. That doesn't make them a sinner. When they get up and they're trying to correct, they recognize their failure. They confess their failure to their Creator, and they get up and they try their best, even though they might mess up again. That's what makes them righteous.
Yeah.
So anyhow, go ahead, Scotty.
All right. No,
No questions. No.
no, just, I think it was all good. I think you presented everything good. We're getting into it deeper. And
This is
deeper
just
each
the
time.
idea of, so when we get into the details, you'll understand the thoughts and the philosophy behind what we're going to be discussing.
Right. All right. Well, it looks like we came to an hour exactly tonight. So are we coming to a close?
We can.
Okay. I want to thank everybody tonight. Now in the radio, there was a lot of just thumbs up, a lot of comments like thank you, things of that nature. So we appreciate everybody listening through Power of Faith Radio. And then those of you that had joined us through Outreach Noah, we thank you so much by joining that YouTube channel. Please share that video with all your social media platforms. Give us a thumbs up, hit that notification bell, and we want to also invite people to come in and subscribe to that channel. Once we get to 100 subscriptions, we got a few extra quirks that we're trying to get to, and we greatly appreciate that. Those of you that are listening tonight by B'nai Noach Fellowship Facebook page, we thank you so much. And maybe you want to invite somebody or to re-watch it and take some notes and come back next week with some questions. And also those of you that are watching by a simple walk, we invite you to do the same thing. So I guess, Terry,
We will see you next week, and we'll try to go through. So we're 3, 4, and 5. We'll try to go through 4 and 5 next week. We'll see how it goes.
all right. We'll see everybody next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.